I'm going to take you back to the team talks, and I don't know how many times you mentioned the Govan Shipyard, but it was a lot. During the season, referring back to obviously moments in your childhood growing up and the importance of obviously being grounded.
My reasons were that the players I had to deal with then probably were not from the working class that I was from. So I had to try and instill that part in them that working hard is a real talent. And I refer to shipyard workers, to miners, to steel workers. And I think that you may not have been the working class, but your fathers or your grandfathers were. And I really put a great importance in having to work hard. Even your best player, although he may be the most talented player, he has to show that he's prepared to work as hard as every other player.
And how did Sir Ferguson get you to keep coming back every single year, all the teams at Manchester United, and do it again?
When I came to manager at 32, I thought this would be easy. You know, I was thinking about other managers I worked for and certain, and I thought, yeah. I lost my first away game 5-2. I'm going home at night in the car and I'm saying to myself, I didn't expect this. And I realised then that if I didn't get a working mentality or a mental strength in my players, I had no chance. After one league triumph, and the first team talk I had the next year was about the geese. Do you remember that? And some of the players are sitting there saying, what's that guy talking about? You know what I mean? But it's a great story. A friend of mine had a farm his cousin had a farm in Canada, and he was telling me the story about geese flying to 4,000 miles for a bit of heat, you know. And I said to the players, I said, all I'm asking you is to play 38 games to win the league. You know, so the motivation always, I would be sitting in my bed or lying in my bed at night thinking about ways of motivating players, because if you're at a club or United for 27 years, you don't want players to feel, here we go again.
When you refer to psychology, you don't believe in psychology, it's management. Can you tell us what you mean by that? Well,
management, psychology, I've never considered that as part of my job, but the management thing is based on, I believe anyway, in communication, loyalty and trust. You have to give your trust to the players, and you hope by time you get it back. And I did exactly the same at United. But my communication was really important to me, recognise and value my staff. And I would never let anyone pass me in a corridor or in the dining room without saying good morning. I'd have a chat with them, whatever. If you value them and you give your consideration to them, what the job they're doing, they'll pay you back. I like to see myself in the players. And of course, when I lost a game, you know how I reacted. You know why? Because my expectation was bigger than theirs. I was going to win all World Cups, win every game. That was my attitude every morning, every Saturday morning, to win every game.
The other word that I always remember you referring to in team talks was risk.
You're down 1-0 with 15 minutes to go. What's the point in sitting with your back four, your regular midfield, and two strikers? What's the point in it? The risk is shove people in the box, because the other team react to that. You shove 3 and 4 in the box, get the ball in there. That's the risk, because you can lose the breakaway, the counter-attack, quite easily. And we lost games that way. But the value is, you score in the last minute, or injury time. Remember the dressing room? It was electric. Absolutely electric. The fans are going home, they can't wait to get to the pub to talk about. They can't wait to go home and tell their wife and their kids what it was like at Old Trafford to score in the last minute. That's the value. That risk should always be there. There's no point in flapping about in the midfield with a few passes and no taking the risk of getting the ball in the box. Because you're not going to score for 40 yards. I can't remember a player trying to score for 40 yards. I know one.
I tried a few times.
I know one. Left foot, cutting in from the right-hand side to the left foot and hitting the ball over the bar. Have you ever scored for 25 yards, Gary? No. But what the hell are you trying to hear there?
I only recognised this properly when I became captain for that last 4 or 5 years, that he used to stand outside the dressing room door And the captain couldn't go out past you until you were there. Every single match, you make sure you. Why did it's this influence over referees? This looking down the corridor. It's the looking at the away team. What was the reason you stood outside that door so that everybody could see you? Was it for your own team or was it for the others down the corridor?
No, for the own team.
Okay.
My own team. But there was one occasion. I don't know if you remember this, but we were down 3-0 to Tottenham at Tottenham. And I never says a word in the dressing room. Now, do you remember that?
Yeah.
And I says, next goal's the winner. That's what I said. And I went to the door, and Teddy Sheringham, who played with us, of course, was their captain. And he came out to the door and looked at me and turned and said to his players, don't let them score early. We scored in the first minute. I thought that killed him, with Teddy having to say that to them. Because I looked at him, and they looked at me. And I just, come on, we can win this. It's a funny game.
What do you remember about Saturday, 5th of May, 2018?
Ambulance service.
My dad is collapsed.
The greatest British manager ever.
What's his name, please?
Alexander Ferguson.
I was crying, because I don't remember a thing.
He just put his head in his hands and went, I hope there's nothing wrong with my memory.
The champions of England.
There better be nothing wrong with my memory. And then he just started telling me these stories.
It's a fact of life. Where we come from is important. I come from Govan. I'm a Govan boy. My apprenticeship as a toolmaker helped me, I think, in understanding people. In Glasgow, the Rangers and Celtic. People had the knife and Alec for obvious reasons. Cathy was Catholic. I went off the rails a bit. My dad, that's when we fell out. I've always regretted that. But the football was the saviour.
Ferguson.
He was determined that he would go on and prove himself.
I had my own philosophy about management.
Aberdeen have won.
A player can't do it himself. Players are only part of the team. The manager's in control of that. Cathy, she sacrificed to support me 100%. What a patience. 53 years married to me. You worry, you'll lose all this history, all these memories. But they live on.